So Jake Dingle is the CEO of a company called Carbon Revolution. And Jake, you were in town here in Detroit. What was it, like 7 years ago or something like that? I got a chance to drive a Porsche 911 GT3 with your carbon wheels on it.
I think, to be honest, John, I think it may have been more like 10 years ago that we first met and spoke about carbon fiber wheels. Hardly seems like
Unbelievable. It does seem like yesterday, but here you are. And oh my gosh, I mean, it looks to me like the company's exploding with business right now.
Well, we've had obviously a lot's happened in that time. We've now have a backlog of about $730 million worth of awarded contracted business. Major OEM partnerships. Our customers include General Motors, Ford, Ferrari, Jaguar Land Rover, Renault, and we have others that are not yet announced. And we have over 70,000 wheels on the road. So a lot has happened in the last few years, and we have just now started trading on the NASDAQ as well. So we've moved our listing from Australia to the US, where really the home of this technology seems to be.
Wow. What a change. What was it? I mean, this is a conservative industry, as you know. Did it just take time? Because everything that you just announced there is like huge growth for the company.
Absolutely. So when we first spoke, we hadn't announced any OEM contracts. We said we were targeting OEM business, and that's exactly the way we've focused the business. It's a safety critical technology, but it's also a very, very important efficiency technology. So it's taken some time, or it did take some time, to work through the first phases of getting our customers comfortable with the validity of carbon fiber wheels, and to demonstrate that they are in fact better in every way than conventional technology, whether it be aluminum or steel. And that really was a first phase of validating the product, not just to an aftermarket standard, but to the much higher OEM standard that's required for something safety critical like this. And it is a highly sophisticated product. It's probably the most complex and sophisticated carbon fiber composite product that you'll find anywhere in the world. And we've made 70,000 of them. We're up to our 18th program now. So we have, I think, 6 in production, 7 in development, and 5 are already in after sales. So, that's with those major customers I talked about. So yeah, not an easy thing to bring in a brand new material into this sort of a segment. You're right, it is a conservative industry and highly focused on risk, and particularly around safety. But being able to save up to half the weight of a conventional wheel in rotating.
Now, when you say that's huge, 50% weight, but is that compared to steel or aluminum?
That's compared to aluminum. So
wow, so huge weight gain or weight reduction gain.
Absolutely huge, and in rotating unsprung mass, which is the most important mass on a vehicle. So that can deliver 5 to 10% efficiency, range improvement, economy. It's an efficiency technology. You can either use it to go faster around a track, or in the more long term, it will be used to make vehicles more efficient, whether they be conventional ICE vehicles, hybrids, or electric vehicles, or other sorts of powertrains.
But what about cost? Because, for hardcore enthusiasts like myself, carbon wheels all the way. We'll pay a premium to get that kind of unsprung weight reduction. Mm-hmm. But, for weight reduction in EVs, or how mass market can you go with these wheels?
Well, we've obviously the entry point, as it is with a lot of new automotive technologies, has been in the premium and performance and luxury space. But this really is a technology that's truly capable of being a large-scale disruptor. We already have enough business to virtually fill our Australian plant. So we now, and that is a relatively high-cost location, relatively small scale, but we're entering into the third major phase of our business plan, which is to fully industrialize and scale up. And you'll see in the investor presentation that we've just actually launched or lodged this morning, we talk about offshore expansion into a low-cost location. North America and quite possibly Mexico is an opportunity for doing that. And that will bring not just scale and increased volume, because everything we've done has been around being able to scale this up and make it in far higher volumes, but it also brings the cost down really quite significantly with scale, a location that can better service the North American market at that scale and with less logistics costs, and just overall reducing the costs, as has always been our plan. So it's a very exciting time to be able to say we're virtually done with filling the Australian facility, which will make no more than 100,000 wheels a year. But the offshore expansion will really expand a long way beyond that. And that's another important reason for listing on the NASDAQ, to have access to the sort of expansion capital that brings to us.
You know, it's interesting hearing you say that, because, you know, for forever and ever, it was steel wheels. I guess if you go back far enough, wood wheels, then steel wheels. And then, you know, alloy wheels started to come out, and now they're almost ubiquitous. I mean, it seems, at least in the US market, just about everything comes standard with an alloy wheel. So, I mean, how big do you think this could grow? Could it become common for all new cars to have carbon wheels at some point?
Look, I think that's certainly possible with what we're seeing. I mean, in the early 70s, I think aluminum wheels were somewhat similar in scale to what we are today. They were the new variety of technology, and they came in for weight saving and aesthetics and those sorts of things. And they're now more than half of the market. The market's well over 400 million wheels a year. Steel is gradually being replaced by aluminum after that entry point, sort of 50 years ago. I think for us, the philosophy we've taken to this is to ensure that we can scale up and grow and drive costs down. And so we're now working with our supply chain partners to make sure we can source sufficient raw materials, as well as develop the equipment fast enough to be able to keep up with the ever accelerating demand that we're seeing coming out of the industry. And the demand is actually being driven, the acceleration is being driven by this huge focus on efficiency, weight saving, particularly in rotating unsprung mass, for the next generation of mobility. So I think it is quite possible, and that's certainly the way we're aiming. But if you look at the sheer size of the market, there's a long way to go to make it a truly replacement technology.
Oh, sure. I mean, you know, but the future looks bright. And
well,
it's interesting.
the latest models that we are securing are for large sized SUVs and pickup trucks. You will have seen the Range Rover Sport launched by Jaguar Land Rover earlier this year with our wheels on it. Those wheels are saving an enormous amount of weight, and they're a 23-inch wheel. The bigger the wheels get, the higher the loads that they have to take, the more efficient our material is. So our percentage saving grows as the wheels get bigger. And that really, given that wheels have been getting bigger for decades now, that's really playing to the strengths of our material, and adds to the tailwinds that we're seeing.
Well, yeah, as you know, I mean, designers love big wheels, the bigger the better. But as you also know, they really detract from the ride of a car, having that much mass going up and down at all four corners. So great place for weight reduction on big wheels with your carbon ones.
Well, that's a really interesting point too, because as vehicles get heavier, the wheels need to be stronger. Everything needs to be stronger, which makes them heavier again. So not only are they demanding larger diameter wheels, but those larger diameter wheels also have to take greater loads. That means they have to be heavier, and that has a spiral effect. It drives heavier and stronger structures into the suspension and everywhere else. So by being able to do, I mean, we're doing a 24-inch wheel program now for a major platform, and that wheel saves about 15 kilograms per corner. That's a massive weight saving, 15 kilograms, so well over 30 pounds per corner. You think about vehicles that maybe have 5 wheels as well, so you can multiply that by 5 rather than 4. And it's not just the wheel mass that we're reducing, it's the knock-on mass reduction for all the connecting structures, plus the NVH benefits. It's one of the lesser known facts about this material. It's quite damped, extremely strong and stiff, but quite damped. So you can also look at reducing some of the treatment that has to go into vehicles to reduce the noise transmission from the road, just because of the nature of this material.
Very interesting, because that's one of the problems with electric cars. You know, they're so quiet that you start picking up on everything, and that's I don't know how to describe it. It's almost an echo on impact strips that you hear coming from the tire and wheel combination.
Absolutely, yeah. So the testing that we've done has shown sort of a half an order of magnitude of noise attenuation benefit. Now, it's a system-related thing. It has to actually be tuned for the vehicle that you're applying the technology to. But the good news is it's such a sophisticated material. You can tune it, and you can actually move the sort of natural frequencies around to remove some of, or to enhance some of those benefits. And you're right, for electric vehicles, adding weight to reduce noise is typically what people think about, whereas adding a product like ours is significantly reducing the weight, but also significantly reducing the noise transmission. So it's very unusual, I think, and this is what we're finding in discussions with our customers. It is quite unusual to have a bolt-on technology that doesn't require a lot of investment in the vehicle itself. It literally bolts on, it halves the weight in the rotating unsprung mass of the vehicle, and has additional knock-on benefits such as the noise attenuation that we just talked about. So it is delivering a lot of benefits in one bolt-on application, and obviously we're driving the economies of scale as hard as we can so that it really can be seen as a long-term solution for more and more vehicles.
I would add another knock-on effect. If you're taking out, let's say, 15 kilograms per wheel, maybe you don't need as big of a battery, and if you can shave off a few kilowatt hours of battery, boy, you're cutting a lot of cost right there.
Well, in simple terms, just by bolting on and having that weight saving, if you just apply it to what you could replace that weight with in terms of battery, there's about a 5% range extension just straight out of the box. Then if you apply from a system point of view, the optimization of structure and NVH treatments and all of those sorts of things, then we can see that getting closer to 10%. So anywhere between 5 and 10% range enhancement from a bolt-on technology that also, frankly, consumers love it because it looks fantastic as well. There's a lot to like about the technology, and that's why we're seeing this real acceleration in demand. Our backlog has actually doubled. It's gone from about 330, or more than doubled, to about $730 million in the last, since we announced the deal, so in less than 12 months. And that's just a reflection of not just how many programs are being awarded, but the fact that they're getting bigger, and they're starting to be, this is starting to be a focus for SUVs and pickup trucks at the higher end of the weight classes.
Let's talk about the company a little bit, because you just announced 4 additions to your board of directors. And what really caught my eye is I know 3 of them pretty well. You've got Bob Lutz, Bert Jordan, Jackie Dato, and I can't remember the other person.
Matty Misanovich.
Yeah. So, I don't know him, but tell me what you're doing there, because, Lutz, everybody knows Bob Lutz in the auto industry, right? Bert Jordan used to run purchasing at Ford. So, boy, that sounds really smart. Jackie Dato, I've known for decades. I think I first met Jackie when she was at Motorola, as a matter of fact. So tell me about your, number one, how you figured out those are the people you should get, and how'd you get them?
Well, I think it reflects the interest that this technology is generating. The fact that we could attract such experience and seasoned names from the automotive industry in North America to join our board, and they're internationally experienced as well. So obviously, as you said, Bob has such an enormous reputation and decades of working in the global automotive space and doing new things. So he has been really a visionary, and the experience, the contacts, the understanding of the industry that he brings to a technology like ours, which is destined for larger and larger scale adoption, is just second to none. So Bob is very excited by this. We're delighted to have him as part of the board, and his advice and counsel and perspectives will to a company that's really moving its listing from Australia to North America and really playing where the demand for the technology is. We couldn't have anyone better, obviously, to be advising us. Bert, as you know, used to run purchasing and supply chain for Ford, and there's a lot of strategic work that we need to do to make sure that the supply chain can support the rate of growth that we have coming our way. And to some degree that can involve our customers as well. So having Bert's perspectives in that regard is extremely helpful. And Jackie, as you know, has a long history in the tier 1 supply space. She was at Bosch for many years as well. And so we have we have the perspectives from her background, but also the area that she plays in more at the moment is really around new mobility, the expansion of the EV space and other forms of new mobility. And that's incredibly important to us because this technology, it is a fit for every vehicle or for every OEM that's trying to enhance the efficiency of its vehicles, regardless of the powertrain. And Matty has been he was at Delphi and has had roles in places like Superior. He was the CFO of Superior Industries, who are an aluminum wheel manufacturer. So strong history in very senior executive roles in the tier one supplier space. So yeah, it's a great enhancement to the board, and very exciting to have those perspectives. We've had our first board meeting together, and it's been terrific to have their input and that level of maturity and sophistication.
Sure. They must be great board discussions, is all I can imagine, having that caliber of people on your board.
Absolutely. Very strategic. It's terrific.
Yeah, that's right. Jake, that's all I can think of. What am I missing? Anything else to add here?
Good question, John. I think we have covered quite a lot there. I think the key things for us are just, we have, I guess if you go back to when we first spoke, we talked about getting through this first phase of technology proving out, and we did that with our OEM customers. We've then developed the second phase, which was to create scalable manufacturing. We're essentially virtually sold out for our Australian facility, and now looking for the third stage of the strategy of what we're now working towards the third stage, which is really that, building out offshore and creating a much higher volume and a lower cost base in order to be able to supply that. So I think we've really covered all of those points. So no, I can't think of anything else obvious, John. But no, thank you. Good to catch up again.
Yeah.
Neither of us look any different either, by the way.
Yeah. No, you've said a lot there. But Jake, thanks so much for your time. Fascinating story that you've got here, and it's great to see the company growing like it is.
Great. Thanks for your time, John. Great to be on the program again.